Hey YouTube land, Tycanners here doing an action figure review. Now it's been a while since I've done a Jurassic review. Not that I haven't been picking up anything from the Jurassic Park line or Jurassic World line. It's just I haven't gotten around to doing any reviews. And for today's review, now just before I proceed, I just need to say that these reviews are intended for collectors over the age of 13 plus. Just abide by the COPA and FTC rules, whichever crowd it is. So if you're under the age of 13, please ask permission from a parent or guardian before watching the video. Now, what this is the Scorpius Rex. Now, if you're not familiar with what the Scorpius Rex is, some people may have just watched the live action movies. This is another genetic creation dinosaur from the Camp Cretaceous line. So it's a kind of creation along the same lines as the Indoraptor and the Indominus Rex. This is another one of those sort of things. So before I get onto the figure, which looks very sweet, I'll quickly go through the box. I have a whole bunch of stuff in the corner here. Please forgive me. So as you can see, it's an open box. You have the name Slash and Battle Scorpius Rex. Each sold separately, so subject to availability. And flipping around the back of the box, it just has an image of the dinosaur, stuff that I can do, and same name again. The Scorpius Rex, slashing action. There's a tail whip action, then shows some of the other dinosaurs in the way. There's another Dimorphodon, Draco Rex, Herosaurus, and is it the Zunoceratops? I think it is. It's one of the other ceratopians. It doesn't seem to give any other information about this other than it shows there's electronics on it. So there is that. And if I bring around the creature in itself, you can see it is quite a nice figure. Now, just to give you a scale for this, here is one of the generic kind of soldier guys from the actual Jurassic World line. I think it was the one that came with the Sticky 2-pack, which I haven't actually reviewed, but I will get to eventually. But you can see the scale. It is quite a tall dino next to it. In fact, if I just bring in my tape measure, from tip of tail to the head is about 15 inches, and if you go from tip of tail to the actual outstretched claw, it's just like nearly 15 and a half inches. So it is quite long, and height wise it is about 6.5 to the highest point on the dinosaur. Actually, I think is it 7 actually on the highest point. I think the body is actually taller. Yeah, the body actually raises up higher than the head does, so it's actually 7 inches at the highest part of the ridge on the back. So it is a little bit taller. And for its attack action, you have let's see if I get the right one first. You get a slashing action. Now, this does hinder. Yeah, there's two different kind of sounds. It does hinder the posability because you can't really pose these. Excuse me. You can't really pose these without the action feature. Now, as far as I know, there's two versions of the Scorpius Rex. There's this version, and I think there's another version that doesn't have the electronics, and then I think it's kind of similar to what they did with the Indoraptor. There was a superposable version of the Indoraptor, and then there was like a gimmick one with the battle sounds. So I think they're kind of going the same route. And then the other sound effect is the mouth attack. Now, you can move the head, and there's two roars. You can't really move the legs too much. Like, they do move, and they do move independently, but there's like no real articulation in the tail to give you kind of a standing, and you can't move the head down, so but you can get it raised up on the hind legs if you want to. But for the kind of neutral position, it does click into place. So that this kind of neutral position, sculpt wise, it's very nicely sculpted. So the mouth, I love how the teeth are kind of interlaced. You have the eye on it there, and eye on the other side. They aren't too bad. Sometimes you get bad eyes on these, but so far it hasn't been too bad. So, and then you have a tail whip action. Now, from what I can see, looks like the tail is a bit of a softer plastic here. From you see the separation where the solid plastic meets kind of slightly more rubberized plastic. But what it's intended to do is that you fold the tail and then you swing it back, and it auto swings, so it gives a whip action. So if you have a figure set up, just like we'll use this poor guy again, you can swing the tail and smack him. And there's the spines on the tail, which are supposed to be poisonous. So, and you have spines on the underarms as well, which I believe are probably supposed to be the same thing. You do have giant toe claws, just like a raptor. If I just move the little dude out of the way, we'll bring in its predecessor. We'll bring in the other dinosaurs. You can see colorings are kind of similar to the Indoraptor, although the Indoraptor is a lot more lanky and gangly and posable. If I just move that off to the side, hopefully without knocking everything over, we'll bring in the big bad, I think it was Bash and Slash Indominus Rex, which you can barely see in the frame here. If in fact I move things around, bear with me a moment. So if I bring the Indominus in and put this guy into the forefront, you can see the height difference. Indominus does stand a good bit taller, and there is a very nice height difference between the two. And if I just pose my camera, you can see all three of them together. So scale wise, I think they do scale together. Overall, I really like this thing. It's pretty cool looking. It's really good in the show. It is worth checking out the show, even if you're like not a fan of animated stuff. It does keep you kind of, I wouldn't say, it does kind of keep you on the edge of the seat. So, and it's free to watch on Netflix, so I do recommend picking it up. Even if you just sign up for the whatever the month's trial of Netflix just to watch it and then cancel it again, it's actually not a bad show. I think they have 2 seasons now of this, so it does have a decent run. And there is, most of the 2021 figure releases are kind of aimed at, will be from the new movie when that drops, but most of the stuff at the moment are based around the Camp Cretaceous line. Camp Cretaceous line. But overall, it's a really cool dinosaur. Technically, it's not a dinosaur because it's a genetic hybrid, so it's a mashup of stuff, but it's a really cool looking dinosaur, if you know what I mean. The armor plating, the claws, the scale, everything is pretty cool on it, and I love the head design on it. It kind of reminds me a lot of the Carnotaur, so it kind of has that going for it, which I think is really cool. And if you can pick these up, I do recommend getting them. I got this from my local retailer, Smith's, here in Ireland. They have them in stock online. Some stores have them in stock, but some stores don't, so it's a kind of a hit or miss whether you get them. But it should be available at most retailers in the States. I'm not sure if it's available yet. As I said, I know there's a second version coming out, which comes with one of the human characters. I think it's Kenji and a gyrosphere, and I believe that's the kind of superposable non-electronic version. So if your preference is for kind of the more superposable one, I do recommend aiming for that. It should be the same scale as this, so it should scale up the same as this one does to the other dinosaurs. So overall, it's a good dino, and I do recommend picking it up, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I didn't waffle on too much there at the end. Cheers, guys.